Hello, and welcome to the Calm and Connected podcast. My name is Janine Halloran, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor from Massachusetts. I've been working with children and teens and their families, as well as adults, for almost 20 years now. I've worked in a variety of settings, so I've worked in places like schools, but also social skills clinics. I've run a summer program for teenagers, and I've also done things like work in a mental health facility. And right now I still currently see clients for individual therapy. So I've always loved to create things. Even from a young age, I loved to quilt and crochet and do all sorts of things with my hands. But as I became a therapist, I also liked creating products for people. And I liked creating worksheets, I liked creating games, I liked doing all that kind of stuff with my clients and for my clients, and I really enjoyed that. So something I started several years ago with the help of my husband and the encouragement of my husband was a website called Encourage Play. So that was all about teaching kids how to interact socially using play as the mechanism for teaching them, which is really important. And it's a great way for kids to learn. So there are kids who struggle with social skills. There are kids who struggle with learning how to interact with other people. And the problems that kids have when it comes to interacting socially can sort of fall into two categories. So it could be that they don't know how to interact with people. So they are struggling with maybe figuring out how to start a conversation or continue a conversation, how to take turns, how to compromise, how to work as a group. So that's one way that kids can struggle with social skills. The other piece that they struggle with sometimes is when they are having a hard time regulating themselves. So if you're not regulated yourself, it's hard to have an interaction with somebody else. If you are having a hard time managing your anger or managing your anxiety, it's going to be really hard for you to start to have that interaction with somebody else. So I wanted to sort of address both of these issues on the website. So I started writing things about coping skills on Encourage Play, and it was a really big hit, and people kept asking for and searching for and pinning and all that sort of stuff. So again, my husband encouraged me to start a second business that was really only focused on coping skills. So that's the start of Coping Skills for Kids. And so that happened in 2015. And there I really focus on helping kids manage their feelings in safe and healthy ways, helping them manage stress, manage anxiety, manage worries, all those different feelings that can come up for a kid, and helping them figure out the ways that they can help and manage it. So I started Coping Skills for Kids basically using a checklist that I used with my clients, and I still use to this day with my clients. So it sort of started organically in wanting to try and figure out ways that kids could really start identifying what strategies they already use and figuring out what strategies they can try to really expand their coping skills toolbox. That's what I really want kids to be able to do, to have a lot of different skills that they can call on when they're feeling worried or stressed or anxious. And so that was really the beginning of Coping Skills for Kids. From there, I started writing a book, and I wanted to create a book where kids could go and flip through and figure out some, and just have a whole slew of coping skills that they could try. And I kept looking for this book, and throughout my career, my professional career, I kept looking for this book and I couldn't find it. So finally I decided I was going to write it. So that's how the Coping Skills for Kids workbook was born, which was really neat, that I was able to create this book, and I didn't know who was gonna get it, and I didn't know how it was gonna do, and it's actually done pretty well, and it was actually picked up by Pessy Publishing and Media, and so they've republished the book right now, and it's a really exciting opportunity and a time, because I didn't think that that's what would happen with the Coping Skills for Kids workbook. The other thing that sort of grew out of the Coping Skills for Kids workbook was creating coping cue cards. So I love using visuals with kids. I think using visuals is a really powerful way to teach kids, to have kids practice different skills. And so that's what I did. I created a set of digital cards, and now I actually have physical card decks where kids can use those to figure out what coping skills they have and have visuals to help prompt them to use other coping skills. I love that. I've gotten some really great feedback from parents, like a parent saying, my kid just wants his coping skills card. I also am a mom, so, as a professional, I have worked with kids for a long time, but then I also have my own. So a lot of times when I'm talking on this podcast, I will be talking about things that, as a professional I've encountered, but also stories about my own children, because they are kids too, and they need help learning how to deal with their emotions and deal with their anger and deal with their anxiety as well. So that's a little bit about me, and I wanted to let you know why I named the podcast Calm and Connected. So it actually marries into the ideas behind my two businesses. So the calm piece of Calm and Connected represents coping skills for kids. So that's all about helping kids figure out the ways that they can relax, the ways that they can de-stress, the ways that they can deal with their anxiety, the ways that they can manage their anger. And the other piece of it is Connected, and that really represents encourage play. So helping kids figure out how to interact with other people, how to interact positively with their siblings, their peers, kids that are younger or older than them, and the adults in their lives as well. So in this podcast, I'll be talking about some coping skills, and I'll also be talking about the importance of play, games that I love to help encourage play and encourage kids to interact, ways for families to connect, managing feelings, and then also self-care. And that's often something that gets overlooked when you are a therapist or a clinician or an educator or a teacher. You put so much of yourself into your work, and it's really hard to recharge and refuel. And I think it's really important that we start to have these conversations about what self-care looks like and what we can do. And it doesn't have to be big or complicated, but it gives you a chance to refill your cup so that you're not always giving, but you're also able to give yourself a little bit of time, put yourself on a list. And just in general, I wanted to give you a little bit more of an idea about who I am. So I'm going to just share a little bit more about the things I like to do personally, the ways that I take care of myself, my own coping skills, my own self-care. So I am a huge nerd, and I love reading, and I love Harry Potter, and I love Doctor Who. I love playing video games. I'm a Nintendo fangirl, and I have been for years. I'm huge into Mario Kart and Mario Party and Animal Crossing. I love that sort of stuff. And we play video games as a family. We play Mario Kart and Mario Party as a family, and we've played other things like ARMS. We're a Nintendo family, truthfully. I also create things with my hands. So I love to quilt, I love to crochet, I love to knit, and I love gardening, and I love doing all sorts of things to create something new. And I like to share the things that I like to do, because I think it's really important that not only do we have this professional side of us or the parent side of us, but we also have this part of us that's still us, the things that we enjoy doing. And it's really important to continue to do those things, even after we have kids, even when we have jobs. To be able to continue to nurture ourselves, I think, is really important. So thank you so much for taking the few minutes to listen to me today, and I will talk to you next time. Have a great day.